Okay, to work the left twist without a cable needle, the way that it is written in the Brilliance pattern is you're going to bring your right needle behind the first stitch on the left needle and come from the back to the front, and then you're going to rotate your needle around so it's going knitwise into the second stitch. Okay, so I'm actually going to zoom in and show that to you again. Hang on. All right, so you're going to bring your right needle behind the first stitch on the left needle and come from the back to the front between those two stitches, and then rotate the point of your needle so it's going knitwise into the second stitch. And then you're going to knit that, and then you're going to knit into the first stitch. So both stitches are still on the needle, and then drop both stitches off of the needle at that point. Okay, so let me zoom out a little bit and demonstrate that again. Bring the point of your right needle, you're going to come behind the first stitch on the left needle and come between, from the back to the front, between the first and second stitches, and then you're going to rotate it around so it's going knitwise into the second stitch. And then you're going to knit that stitch, so you just want to make sure you're pulling that fabric all the way onto the shaft, or pulling the yarn loop all the way onto the shaft with both stitches still on the needle. And then at this point you may need to kind of wrangle the stitches so that that first stitch is away from the second stitch, so that you're not grabbing any loops of that second stitch's yarn. And then you're going to knit into the first stitch and drop both stitches off of the needle. So that would be how you would work the left twist stitch without a cable needle as directed in the Brilliance pattern. To work the right twist without a cable needle, we have to actually knit this second stitch first, but it has to be knit across the front of the work. So if you remember in the left twist, we came from behind and worked a knit stitch into it from the back. And that was because we needed this stitch to come across the front. Well, we need this stitch to be in the back, and so we need to work this stitch in the front first. And so we're going to bring our right needle through knitwise into this second stitch. So doing that can be a little tricky just because you're basically having to bring your whole setup over the stitch way over here. So what I like to do is I like to go into the stitch purlwise first and actually kind of tug it up a little bit so that I have that loop sitting higher so it's easier to get into without snagging that yarn in the stitch that's in front of it. And then knit that first. Okay, so once I have that loop that I just knit all the way on the shaft of my right needle, I'm actually going to push my right needle knitwise into that first stitch all the way down on the shaft so that I can reposition that material. So I pulled the yarn loop high on that second stitch. So to kind of reduce it, I'm sticking the shaft of my needle all the way into that first stitch, and I'm just going to knit that. And then both of those stitches come off the needle. So because I talked through that a little bit, I'm going to work that one more time for you. So to work the right twist without a cable needle, you're going to knit into this second stitch. And so you want to come knitwise into that second stitch, knit that, and then go into the first stitch and knit that. And then bring both of those stitches off of the needle. And that creates your right twist